Hello there, friends. Today we are going to talk about one of the most competitive, one of the most toughest examinations, popularly called the IAS examination, the Civil Services Examination, which is held every year and conducted by the Union Public Service Commission. And to come straight to the topic, my hypothesis is that you do not learn much from the success stories of the IAS toppers. Of course, those people, they worked hard, they've slogged, they've concentrated, in many cases taken multiple attempts. They richly deserve their success. But the point which I'm trying to make is that you, as a person trying to crack the civil service examination, may not learn much from their success stories. We do not learn much from the fairy tales. Fairy tale endings have magical powers and divine interventions, which unfortunately in this day and age, a youngster like you will not be able to find. So therefore, I'm not saying that those success stories are useless for you, but it is not as if there is a code lying embedded in those success stories which you can pick up and then apply in your journey towards success in the IAS examination. What really happens is when this examination result comes, there are people like you and me, students with ordinary backgrounds, small towns, middle class families, going to routine government colleges and schools who crack the civil services examination. And various coaching institutions and training institutions, they interview them, ask them their secrets of success, and also sometimes boast that these IAS officers, these IPS officers who have cracked the examination were their trainees. I am not for a moment saying or passing a value judgment on what worth that training was or is. The point which I'm trying to flag is that in order to learn from the experience of others, it is not about the successful ending. It is about seeing the pitfalls which were within their way, how they avoided, how they fell into those potholes, how they came out, how they stumbled, how they crossed the hurdles or avoided those hurdles. Therein lies the lesson for us rather than magical and fairy tale endings. Otherwise, if there were a standard formula for success, then everyone would be applying that mechanically and coming out successful. But where hundreds of thousands, that is lakhs of people, youngsters, very motivated, very intelligent, very hardworking, are applying those postulates, but only a few hundred are getting through. It does not make logical sense that blind application of those so-called secrets of success would ensure that you also crack the examination. So what I would like to say is that we need to be very careful not to be bedazzled by the success stories of others. We give them full credit, but go a little beneath and read between the lines of what they say and see how they were able to circumvent and avoid those pitfalls. So it is about the hurdles they crossed, not the final victory stand photo shot, so to say, outside the UPSC. That is what we should look at. So it is the process which would be more important than the ultimate outcome or the result. Now friends, it is an irony of life that many things which are apparently simple are not easy. Today incidentally happens to be the 90th birthday of Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, and no inherited wealth, built it all himself. The formula for stock market investing that he proposes is very simple. Buy and hold, buy into companies, buy into stocks that are going to be evergreen and remain wedded to them for long periods of time and give the management a free hand. Rely on climate, not weather. Very simple postulate. But how many of us are able to apply the same? The point which I'm trying to make is that things may be simple, but they are not easy. Normally, we confuse that things which are simple are also easy. People want to lose weight. And I could say a balanced diet and a moderate regular exercise is enough. Very simple, but is it easy? Try it and you will come to know. So therefore, we today are going to talk in terms of what are those simple things which are not very easy and which you have to apply consistently and with dedication to get through the civil services examination. Now, what is so charming about the civil services examination? I mean, you have Olympic Games and so on and so forth, but it is a political field. You could have a startup culture, build your companies, be the next Mark Zuckerberg, but there is a aura, a kind of a charisma surrounding the civil services examination as far as the Indian youth is concerned, and rightly so. It appears to be almost within the reach of Indian graduates. So irrespective of the discipline that you are graduating in, the master's degree or so on, irrespective of the educational institution you're going to, and theoretically, irrespective of the medium of instructions, because now you're offered a written examination in Indian languages, major Indian languages. So it all appears to be a very level playing field where every graduate theoretically can take part in this mega marathon and with sheer hard work and dedication crack it and enter into some of the most sought after professions in the country. This whole thing is coordinated and has been coordinated over decades by the Union Public Service Commission, the UPSC, constitutional body, and the system and the credibility of the system is such that this is seen to be one of the biggest merit-driven odysseys which Indian youth can participate in. So therefore, so much within reach, a quantum leap. An ordinary graduate today and taking the examination within a couple of months of the declaration of the result, you are reporting to the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration as an IAS officer trainee or an IPS officer trainee or a variety of central services, not the least being Indian Revenue Service of Income Tax, Indian Revenue Service of Customs, Indian Audit and Account Service. So therefore, a number of services where you can make a career for yourself. So therefore, it is something which people look forward to and it is within reach. The credibility of the system is there. You are allowed multiple attempts and it is not once in a blue moon effort. It is not like an Olympic Games that would come after 4 years. The same process is being repeated every year. So even if you have gone through the process of the interview, in all probability you have already applied for the preliminary examination next year. So that in the unlikely event that you do not succeed in the interview, you are taking the examination again. So what I would like to pose this question, many people ask me, and to put the thing slightly in an autobiographical context, I took the examination when I was in the final year of engineering in the Thapar College of Engineering, doing my electronics and telecommunication. The college was then affiliated to Punjabi University, Patiala. Now, of course, it is a deemed university. And I took the examination in the first attempt. And while I taught in the same college 2 semesters, I not only prepared, cleared the written examination and the interview. And lo and behold, before I was 23, the results had come, and in the month of June 1984, I had qualified to be appointed as an IAS officer. Of course, joining the Indian Administrative Service as a probationer, as we were then called, on the 21st of August 1984 at the Missouri National Academy. Now, I didn't take any coaching. I had hardcore technical subjects like electrical engineering, like physics. But is my story, or a success story if you may like to call it, will it hold any clues for you? Does it mean every person needs to do engineering and take it in the first attempt while you teach? Those inferences cannot necessarily follow. So one question which people often ask me, can you succeed without coaching and training? The answer is yes. Do you think training and coaching helps? The answer is again yes. Now, what these coaching and training institutions do is they give you notes, etc., in a very, very summarized form. Otherwise, you would be required to do a whole lot of research. In this day and age, it is not difficult with internet facilities being there to research and find. When we were taking the examination, we didn't even have easy access to the previous year's papers. I was in Patiala and I remember I had to trudge all the way to English Book Depot, Chandigarh, and hope that the previous year's written question papers were available. Today, you have the facility, but what the coaching institutions do is they tell you about the broad trends, they tell you about what the literature is available, and also give you a sense of proportion, which is very important. So therefore, to reiterate, you can easily crack the examination with dedication, hard work, focused study, without coaching. The answer is yes. And should you go for coaching, then choose carefully. It is not a magic potion. It is not a golden key. Does not mean that merely because you've enrolled for coaching, you'll succeed. You have to work. Nothing else in the world will work unless you do. So therefore, do coaching if you must. Take professional help if you must. Consult the people from the previous years who've cracked the examination. But remember, at the end of the day, it is your journey. It is very much a path which you have to trudge. You have to carry that load on your shoulders. No one else can do so. People, your parents can fund your studies. They can provide you an enabling environment at home, allow you to go elsewhere, online studies. But at the end of the day, you are the person. You have to study and crack this examination, which, as we said, is one of the toughest and the most competitive of examination in the world. But then the fruit, the outcome, those are also very sweet. Friends, when on one side the results of the civil services examination comes, the youth who top are virtually the heroes and role models for lakhs of youth. If you see their YouTube interviews and so on, they get millions of views. It is something that you too can achieve. It is something within your reach. At the same time, I would not hesitate to admit that the general impression of bureaucracy in general is seen as a rusting, a creaking iron frame. But that is another story for another day, as to how highly motivated, highly idealistic young people come into a system through a very tough examination, but the service as a whole somehow gathers the reputation of being politically influenced, something that they are doing things for extraneous consideration, something they are seen as slothful, and in many cases even as corrupt. But as I said, this is another story for another day. What I would like to simply underscore in this talk is that the youth who crack the examination are arguably and deservedly the role models for millions of Indian youth who would look forward and say, hey, if they can do, why can't we? And I totally agree. When I joined the Missouri Academy, I really had an imposter complex. I said, I'm coming from a small town like Patiala. I have not even had a coaching for an interview. I have cleared the examination. What great stalwarts are going to be there in Mussoorie, and how am I going to mix along with them? And friends, I can say from a position of exceeding humility and from no place of ego, arrogance, or even irony, that ultimately when you go there, you find those people are like you and me, very ordinary people who have worked with focus and determination. So therefore, the best way to motivate yourself, I always prescribe this, is to go to the Mussoorie Academy when all these people, having cracked the examination, report for the foundation course and see and talk and interact with them, and you will have tremendous confidence that you're as good, if not better, as compared to those. So this, friends, is something that we talk about. So what are the general principles that one would follow? Now, we know that a lot of weightage is given to the written examination, and something which I always underscore is focus and concentration. People are generally not able to distinguish between focus and concentration. Try and write a difference of two, and you'd find that you end up using these quite interchangeably, which is actually not the case. Focus is about width, very narrow focus, laser sharp focus, and concentration is about depth. So therefore, in the civil services examination, you require both focus and concentration. Very narrow, in-depth knowledge and going deep therein. If you're talking about the Citizen Amendment Act, are you going deep? If you're talking about a Supreme Court judgment giving the daughters, including the married daughters, co-passionary rights in the co-passionary property of the father, then are you going deep enough, or it is only a superficial knowledge? So focus and concentration together. Then, of course, a balance between, which is very difficult, this trade-off to achieve, trust me, between extensive and intensive and extensive study. For journal studies, you have to be very extensive. The syllabus is there, but still you really don't know. As they say, anything under the sun can come, but जिसे कहते हैं कि सितारों से आगे जहाँ और भी हैं, taking a different interpretation, they can ask you about stars, universe, cosmos, cosmology. So therefore, not only anything under the sun, beyond the sun and stars, civil service examination, that is what the syllabus is. So one has to be very focused, at the same time having a balance of intensive and extensive and intensive study. Why? Because you have limited time to prepare. So therefore, the trade-off is that you do not have infinite time. Even if you're studying theoretically 24 hours a day, you have to have a limit. So therefore, trying to see what is important, what is urgent, balancing between the general studies, your optional, and obviously the selection of the optional is very important. You need to be good at it. You need to be jolly good, be very good at it. What option you choose, you're the best judge. You may have done MA honors in history, but you may go in for geography. I mean, that is entirely up to you. In fact, I don't know whether there is a formal study, but my own hunch is that in many cases, young people are taking subjects which they really started studying on their own, or which were not a part of their formal education either at the graduate or the postgraduate level. But you are the judge. But then you cannot be average or mediocre. Mediocrity in your selected or elected examination subject is not going to get you through. You've got to be very good. Grill yourself and drill yourself and obtain that level of proficiency in the subject, and then you'll be in the zone of consideration. The IAS examination, friends, is not, I repeat, not a test of wits, of intelligence. Intelligence, hard work counts, but this is not an IQ test like a Mensa test where you go and take an IQ test and they place you on the Binet scale or whatever it is to say that you got an IQ of 160. That is not the case. In case of civil services examination, it is not a 100 meters dash. It is not even an 800 meter 2 laps or 400 each. It is a marathon. So you need to have stamina. You need to be running consistently. And you need not to overexhaust yourself. And one of the worst things which happened to me is that sometimes your preparation can actually come before the written examination, which is very tough. Because if you peak early, the curve is going to then decay. And sometimes it decays exponentially. So therefore, synchronization of your peak. At the same time, you cannot delay too much, because if that is the case, you won't hit the peak. But more importantly, you could panic saying my preparation is not there. So it is psychological as well as your hard work, maintaining your nerves, and above all, having confidence in yourself. Don't look too much hither and thither. Those people may have a different strategy. People are going to tell you this works and this doesn't work. You would be not feeling sure of yourself, or you may actually be soliciting actively advice. But those people cannot delve deep into your psyche and your circumstances to give you advice. So even if you seek advice, see what resonates with you. And only what resonates with you, that is what you follow. Many a time, very well-meaning persons, your siblings, brothers and sisters, your parents, your teachers, they would say, hey, we know you are a very good student. Do like this, do like that. See that the person is doing like this. Unsolicited advice. There's a lot of noise around a person who's preparing for the civil service examination. Noise in a literal sense, in a figurative sense, in a metaphorical sense. That noise you have to filter out, and filter out ruthlessly, and have confidence in yourself and follow the mission, the goal which you've set for yourself. Strategy and tactics can vary. Course correction can take place, but the overall goal, that goal of entering the portals of the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration as an IAS officer, that goal does not change. So friends, if you work on these lines, the chances are that if you're good, you will definitely get a call for the interview. Interview is very important for two reasons. Generally, people are so closely clustered and cluttered in the statistical curve in the written examination that interview would make the difference, if not between you getting into the civil services or not, but will definitely make a difference as to what service you get. So therefore, interview time is time when you do get nervous. You know 1 in 2 people are going to get through. So a lot of nervousness would dawn. You're now closer to your target. You've cleared the preliminary, you've cleared the main examination, and there you are, almost knocking at the door of the UPSC, staking your claim to be allowed to enter the hallowed portals. And what is this interview all about? It's a simple personality test. Those people are very nice people. They have had huge experience, 30, 35 years from a diverse set of subjects, variety of fields, who've achieved, gone to the apex of their careers. And they are not there to humiliate you and confuse you. They are there to bring out the best in you. And it is best for you to be truthful, to be authentic. You cannot feign an accent there. You cannot say things and bluff your way out of the interview. Many a time they ask you your opinion. And I have often told my friends who come to me for guidance, they say, How should we answer this? I said, it's a question of opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, but two things. Firstly, if you hold an opinion, you must be able to justify the opinion. You can't say, I'm my own boss and therefore I have this opinion as my fundamental right. No. You have an opinion. As an intelligent human being, you need to be able to tell them why you hold this opinion. And more importantly, are you consistent with your logic and reasoning? Sometimes they will come back after the fourth question to the same thing and say, hey, Mr. Sidhu, for question number 1, you said this. So how are you now saying this? Are you not contradicting yourself? The idea is again not to trap you in logical arguments, but to see whether you're authentic, whether you have a consistent approach, your value system is uniform, and you're not really like a glowworm flitting from here to there trying to illuminate a dark situation. And when you are done with it, you've tried your best, you've done your best. You could get through, you could not. These possibilities are there. No one can be 100% sure. And the sermon of Holy Bhagavad Gita, you've done your best, and now the fruit, you have to leave it to God. That fruit is now not within your hands. So relax. Do not say that I'm going to start preparing for the preliminaries. Just relax and allow for that great day to come. But two things I would like to say here. If you succeed, congratulations, you're entering into a very challenging profession. It is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. At best, it is only the end of the beginning. Now the real test and examination is going to begin. People of the great Indian democracy, this population of 135 crores, is going to put the civil servants to some of the toughest tests in their career. And you're looking to 35 years of hard work. And you are going to be tested and examined every day, where you don't even know the syllabus. You are going to be in the public eye. The right to information, the press, the social media, your subordinates, colleagues, everything that you do, say, is an open book. So it is not the end. Congratulations, enjoy your moments of glory. But it is beginning of an arduous journey, and where you can reach for the highest summits. If, however, you do not succeed, in spite of repeated attempts, what then? Many of my trainees ask me this question, what then, sir? We've tried so hard, we failed. And I say, as I often quote, that the pilgrimage is in the journey, not in the final darshan. Having worked hard, having gained and imbibed that knowledge, having read extensively, you would be a changed person. You would be better equipped to handle the troughs and crests of life. Or as Shakespeare said, to handle the shallows and miseries of life. Because you have prepared, you are disciplined, you have imbibed knowledge. And this is not going to waste, irrespective of the profession you get into. You may get into an academic profession, you may get into other state civil services, you may be in your own startup. But the preparation, if sincerely done, of the civil service examination, friends, is going to stand you in good stead. So these were a few things which I wanted to share with you today. And to summarize, this is a tough and competitive examination. Take advice, but follow what resonates with you. The tips are simple, but not easy to follow. Focus and concentration and hard work. Maintain your balance. Maintain equanimity. And work with a sense of proportion. And if you do so, God willing, you would be in. And if you don't, you would still emerge as a better human being, a better individual to take life as it comes to you. So thank you, friends. If you think that this talk or such talks are going to be useful for you or your friends, please do comment, share and subscribe, because a lot of smaller videos are going to come where you can draw conclusions and where you can find something useful for you and your friends. So it was great talking to you and hope to see you soon again. Bye for now.